for about 3.5 years, and I am currently starting a taper in January. And that is really, really important to me. And that's one of the reasons why I started building my social media platform, was because I was seeing a lot of people that were in recovery, but they were all abstinent-based recovery through 12 steps. And I absolutely love the 12 steps. I wouldn't be sober today if I hadn't gotten a sponsor and started working the 12 steps. But I was different than those people because I'm on Suboxone, and I could not find people that could relate to, and I was struggling. So I kind of came into the scene on Facebook in 2015, but I didn't join the recovery community until I had been sober for 1 year, until I had been sober, for about a year. And in 2016, I came into the recovery community and started really, really, really getting active and started meeting people in recovery in the community, and I started sharing my experience with those people, and I started getting to know people on a deeper level. And about 6 months after being in the recovery community on Facebook for about 6 months, then I came out and told everyone that I was on Suboxone. And that's when I realized that I was different than everyone else, and that maybe I was going to have to build my own support system. I was going to have to build my own program almost. Now, don't get me wrong, like, I have a sponsor currently. I'm working the steps currently for my second time with this sponsor. I go to meetings. I have my own YouTube channel, and I share my experience, strength, and hope on my YouTube channel. I have 647 subscribers as of today, and I just share my everyday life, vlogging and making videos on my YouTube channel, and I absolutely love it. Like, the support and the camaraderie that me channel has been like nothing I've ever experienced before. But I do know that a lot of people, like, they want to be able to listen to podcasts and stuff, and that's what kind of inspired me, a podcast. I thought, you know what, I'm going to try it. And so that's what we're doing right now. Like, I'm literally recording my first podcast right now. And while I'm sitting here talking to you guys on this podcast, I'm also streaming live on my YouTube channel. So, hey guys, what's up? I am actually podcasting as we speak on Anchor, and you can find me over on anchor.com anchor.fm. Well, I think it's anyway, on Anchor at Real Talk Recovery at real_talk_recovery. And that's where I'm recording the first podcast. Today was, I just wanted to give you guys like a little background on what it's been like for me in recovery for the last 3.5 years and on Suboxone, and what my future holds and what my goals and aspirations are for this next year coming up, because it's 2019 almost. It's actually Christmas Day, you guys, while I'm recording this, and I have so much to be grateful for. My heart is so full. I just left my parents' house, and we had the best time. I brought my mother-in-law, my husband, and my son, and we all went over to my mom and dad's house, and we had breakfast casserole. We had ambrosia salad. We had, what is it called? French toast. Sorry. And we had bacon. And it was just so good. Oh, classy. My phone is charging right now, girl. I haven't even looked at it. The text message. I'm sorry, I didn't see it. What's going on? So that's what we're doing right now. I'm recording the podcast, and I have a viewer that's going through something. So let's read what she has to say, you guys. I'm sorry about that. Let me read your comment, girl. I just saw what you said. So you're going through something. What's going on? Tell. What's going through? Oh my God. When we are going through stuff in case others are busy. Today is Christmas. So what's going on, girl? You want to talk about it now? Or I'll call you when I'm done. You want me to do that? I can call you when I get off here. So, here, you know what? I'm going to stop podcasting. Hold on. That's what I'll do. Undo. Delete segment. We'll start over. Let me get a hold of... hold on, Kalassi. I'm coming. Oh, there you are. Well, girl, I called you. Okay. Anyway, guys, so here's the deal. After I get a hold of Classy, I am going to... After I get done talking to Classy, I'm going to do a podcast, and I want you guys to be able to be here while I do the podcast and listen if you guys want to. It's just going to be like an introductory podcast, you guys. I'm really excited about it. I've figured out a new way to do that here on Anchor, and I want to share it with you guys because I know a lot of you guys work and stuff like that. And so let me see. And you can get paid, guys, to do podcasts. So, as your podcast gets approved by each platform, we'll start showing you links here. So, anchor.fm/Real Talk Recovery. So, there is, oh, can you see it? The podcast link. Anchor.fm/Real Talk Recovery. And so I hope you guys will come over and support me when I get them linked up and uploaded. I'm hella excited about it, you guys. Like, I had been wanting to, remember when I was wanting to do the podcast, and I never got a chance to do it because I couldn't upload, I couldn't record on the Spotify app. So it kept on like crashing and stuff like that. So now I can do it, and I'm just like, heck yeah, you know. So look at this new pajamas my mother-in-law got me. They're so soft. They feel like heaven. We just walked in the door from my mother-in-law's house. I plugged in my phones, and I pulled up that application to come on here and talk with you guys. So I'm going to call her one more time and see if she answers, and then... Okay. Well, we're not going to worry about that. Literally 15 minutes ago. Classy, come on. I'm trying to call you. Okay, y'all ready? Let's do this. I'm going to do my first podcast. So, I'm excited. Okay. Do you guys have any suggestions of anything you guys want to talk about? Merry Christmas. Okay. What's up, you guys? It's your girl, Nicole. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Or should I say, welcome? Because today is the first episode, the first official episode of Real Talk Recovery. I'm so excited to have all you guys here. I am live streaming on YouTube and I am recording a podcast all at the same time, you guys. The joys of technology. It is amazing. Your girl is doing this thing. So, if you don't know, now you know. I am on Anchor and it's amazing, you guys. They actually have a way for you to become sponsored, even if it's your first time podcasting. So all I had to do was record a commercial about Anchor. So I got on and I was like, hey, you guys, it's Nicole. I just found this awesome podcast app and it's called Anchor. And so I made the little commercial and now it'll run before my podcast. And that's a way for me to get sponsored on Anchor. That way, the more people that hear my videos, that's like a monetization here on Anchor. Isn't that awesome? And they'll send me like different commercials that I can record that can go in front of my podcasts. And that's a way for me to get paid. So anyway, let me talk to you guys here on the podcast. My name's Nicole DeMeo. I am a recovering addict. My sobriety date is July 13th of 2015. And I utilize a medically assisted treatment program. The reason I share that part with you guys is because it plays a really important role in why I created my channel, my YouTube channel, why I created this podcast. So let's get into that because I feel like I need to break the ice first, you know? So like I said, my name's Nicole DeMeo and my sobriety date is July 13th of 2015. And yes, I said sobriety date because I am clean and sober. I work my butt off for my recovery, and recovery is what we do on the inside. Recovery is not about the substances that we were on. It's not about the medication that we have to take to maintain our mental health. It's not about any of that. Recovery is about the mental and the internal healing that takes place in a person when they decide to make a change in their lives. Not just a change to stop using drugs and alcohol, but a real change. A change in perspective, a change in the way we think, a change in the way we treat others, a change in the behaviors that we used to practice. We change all that when we get into recovery. Now, there's been many times throughout my life when I had tried to get sober. The times that I can remember the most were the last 5 years of my addiction. The last 5 years of my addiction, I had met my husband, and we were together, and we were miserable. We wanted so badly to be sober, and we would try, but we wouldn't follow through. We would stop using, we would white knuckle it with all of our might, but we didn't have the follow through behind it. So we would relapse. And being a codependent relationship, we would almost give each other permission. Like, oh, it's okay, you can relapse, I'm going to relapse with you. And it was like this back and forth game of get sober and relapse, get sober, then relapse. But we never entered into recovery. We only were dry. And sometimes we would be dry from drugs and alcohol for like a month. Sometimes we would make it 2 months, but never longer than that. And it was torture. Let me tell you that. It was torture. There's nothing like white knuckling it and just not being happy, you know? So I'm going to back up a little bit and share with you guys the story of what brought me into recovery and how I got to where I am today. So in 2014, I had my son. Oh, you guys, my son's name is Nathaniel Alexander, and he is the most amazing little boy you will ever meet in your whole entire life. He is just like me, only 4 years old. He is my, he's my knight in shining armor. He is the reason why I'm here today, and I love him so much. And I get emotional talking about it because he saved my life and he doesn't even know it, you know? So in 2014, actually July 4th, I gave birth to my little boy. And when I went into labor, I was high as a giraffe's, as a giraffe's pussy. I was high as a giraffe's pussy. I had been up all day and up all night for about 3 days prior on methamphetamine. And I went into labor that morning, July 3rd morning, at 5 a.m. And I remember calling my husband, and he was at work. And I was like, there's something wrong. Like, I've never felt this feeling before. There is something wrong. And so he came right home, and we drove to the hospital. And, oh, you guys, when we got to the hospital, I was in so much pain. The back labor that I was having was so intense. It felt like somebody was getting a knife and just stabbing it in my lower back. Like, I was dying. So we got to the hospital. They checked me in. They had me, like, do all the regular stuff, you know, I guess that they do. And then they put me up on the little bed and put my legs up in the stirrup and looked in there. And they did the little, you know what I mean. They did that little thing they have to do to see how far dilated you are. And so I had only dilated to like 2 centimeters, you guys. And it was 8 a.m. by then. And so I'm sitting in the hospital bed and I'm like high on meth. And I am freaking out because I know I am high and I'm about to give birth to my son. And the only thing that I could think about was how I was going to lose my son, how they were going to take him from me and I was never going to see him. I was very much aware that what I was doing was wrong, but I had no control over myself. And the only way I can explain it to you is that when I was in my active addiction, I knew that having a baby was not going to cure my addiction. In fact, I knew that it was going to be even harder. When we got pregnant with my son, it was not planned at all. But we also weren't trying not to get pregnant. So it was really, really scary. And I tried so hard, you guys, to stay clean and sober. And I failed miserably. But while I was there at the hospital, I was just so afraid. I had so much fear in me that DCFS was going to come and take my son the minute I gave birth to him. So I was only dilated to 2 centimeters, so they let me go home. I went home and I came back home and I got in the bath. I took about 10 baths that day, as hot as the bath would get. I was doing these dances all around the house. I was bouncing up and down. I was stretching. I was moaning. I was groaning. I was in pain, you guys. Childbirth is no joke. So finally, at about 7 p.m., we drove up to the hospital and they checked me and I was 8.5 centimeters dilated. So it was time. It was time for Nate to come, y'all. So we got in the hospital bed. They got me all comfortable. They got me some little ice chips to chew on, and then they gave me an epidural, which was a lifesaver because the minute they gave me the epidural, I was at peace. It took away every bit of the pain in my back. It actually killed the pain so much that I could not feel my legs, you guys. And finally, about 2 hours after they gave me my epidural, Nate started coming and I had to push. Well, I was pushing with all my might, and I was pushing with all my might. Neil was there, my mom was there, Neil's mom was there, his dad was there, peeking around the corner to see if Nate had came out yet. And I was pushing, and all of a sudden, I couldn't feel my legs. I couldn't feel my lower body at all. And the doctor had given me another shot, and it would totally knocked me out. So we had to take a 30-minute push break. So we took a break. Everybody went out of the room. The doctor went out, and then he came back. And after that break, you guys, I got to it, and I pushed Nate right out. Bing! And he came out to the world, and he was just like the most beautiful little baby, right? And here I am holding my son, and I know that I'm an addict. I know that I need help. I know that I need to make a change in my life. We stayed in the hospital for 3 days after that because, you know, I had to get stitches down there, and it was the holiday. It was July 4th, and so we stayed in the hospital for maybe it was 2 days, and then we went home, and everything went back to normal. Like, well, not back to normal, but I had to learn how to breastfeed. I had to learn how to take care of him. I had to learn how to bathe him. I had to learn how to wipe his butt, change his diapers. It was all new to me. I had never done any of those things before. My mother came and she stayed with me for 1 week to teach me everything. And my mom lived in New York. So at that time, I was so grateful to have my mom come stay with me because I was so lost, you guys. I had no idea what to do. About a week after my mom left, and about a week after that, I started to notice that I was just so depressed. I didn't want to take a shower. I didn't want to get out of bed. And mind you, I am white knuckling it. I'm staying sober because I have to, because I know I have this kid, this baby, this boy, this son who depends on me for milk and food and life. And so I'm white knuckling it, guys. I'm white knuckling it. Well, I went to the doctor's office because I was just struggling with depression so bad, you guys. And I think it was a combination of coming off of drugs and postpartum depression. So my doctor prescribed me Lexapro, and I started breastfeeding after about a month and a half. I mean, bottle feeding after about a month and a half, because I just... First of all, the Lexapro, I don't know if he was worried it was going to get in my milk, but I wanted to make sure that, you know, I wasn't passing anything to my son. So I started doing formula. And after that, I relapsed. And this is where it gets kind of like, it just gets messed up, you guys. I was living with my mother and father-in-law and husband, and we were all living together, and they were helping us, and I had relapsed, and I was getting to a point where my addiction was taking over everything. I wasn't coming home to take care of my son. I was leaving him here with his dad by himself. I was leaving him with his Gigi by himself. I was staying gone for 2-3 days at a time. I was losing my mind. I was using IV methamphetamine and IV Roxy every day, and I was going into drug psychosis every day. I was losing my mind. This went on for almost a whole year, and then 2 days before my son's first birthday, DHS came and took him. Was it? No. It was 2 days before his second birthday, excuse me. So for a whole year, I did that rigmarole, back and forth. I would try to get sober, and all this fighting, me and Neil, it was horrible. And then 2 days before his second birthday, my best friend called Department of Human Services on me, and they came and got him. Now, they didn't just come and get him. They came and knocked on my door and left me a note. I didn't answer. Then they came back again. I didn't answer. And then they came back again, and I didn't answer. Well, I finally found the note, or got the note that they were leaving, and I read it, and I was like, oh my God. So I called them right away, and they said, we need you to come in. And so me and Nate came in and they drug tested me. And I failed for opiates and benzos. Well, here where I live in the state of Arkansas, if you fail for methamphetamine, they will take your child right then. But I only failed for opiates, so they were like, you know what, we're going to come to your house, we're going to do a home check, and we're going to put a protection order in place. So I wasn't going to lose him. They were going to allow me to keep him, but I was going to have to go to treatment, and I was going to have to follow through with some things, but they were going to allow me to keep my son. Well, they came to visit me the next day at my house, drug tested my husband, and he also failed for the same thing I failed for, and that's when they decided that they were going to take my son. That day that they took my son was the worst day of my life, but it was also, when I look back on it now, the beginning of my recovery. It was what had to happen in order for me to take the first step to get better. I remember packing Nate a bag and sending him with as many clothes as I could and dropping him off at the DHS and then looking at the caseworker and telling her to take me straight to detox. Don't pass go. Do not collect $200. Just take me straight to detox. Because if I don't get sober, if I don't change my life, I'm going to kill myself. I cannot live my life without my son. And so the caseworker took me straight to detox and dropped me off. While I was in detox, I stayed there for 6 days. They tapered me with medication, Suboxone. They gave me 1 Suboxone the first night was there, then half of one the second night, then a quarter of one the third night, and then a little piece the fourth night, and then nothing the last 2 nights. I stayed an extra night because I was going to get out on a Sunday, and I was afraid that if I got out on Sunday that I would go out and use, so I begged them to let me stay for 1 more day, and they did. When Monday came around, I went straight over to the treatment center Oasis. And I got evaluated there and got assigned my room. And I remember just bawling my eyes out. I was crying so hard, you guys, because all I could think about was my son. I wasn't done yet. I still wasn't serious about getting sober. My son was in DHS custody. I was in a 30-day treatment program, and I was having my husband deliver Xanax to me in the treatment center. And the first 2 weeks, I stayed high on Xanax, and then I got busted. One night, we had went out to a meeting in the rehab bus, right? We went out to a meeting, and when we were coming back, he was dropping me off Xanax, and we pulled in, and there he was. And so everybody saw. And that's when I was like, oh my God, like, I've been had. I have been caught. And so they knew exactly what he was doing. In fact, everybody went into their cabins except for all the boys. And all the boys and the counselors went up the hill and found the package of Xanax that he had left me. So right then, I was fixing to get kicked out. I knew it was over. I was never going to... It was horrible, you guys. The fear that came over me because I was like, oh my God, now I'm going to get kicked out. Now I'm like... They were like calling my DHS caseworker, everything. We had a huge meeting, and I don't know what happened, you guys, but for some reason, they gave me a second chance. And those next 2 weeks, I stayed in treatment. I got serious, and I started like really paying attention, but still, 2 weeks was not enough, you guys. Like, I had just started to get out of the fog of Xanax that I had been in. So when I got out of treatment after 30 days, I was scared. I wanted to use. I had the desire to use still. I was craving. I was just absolutely a wreck. And my husband came and picked me up, and I was like, listen, I want to use. Like, I want to get high. And I remember him looking at me and saying, well, you're not going to, because I got put on Suboxone and you're going to too. And my first initial reaction was pissed. I was so pissed because I didn't understand Suboxone. I didn't understand that people actually got their lives together and like would succeed in their recovery with medically assisted treatment. I had only heard horror stories about it. I had only heard like people trading one addiction and like shooting up their Suboxones and abusing them. I had never heard of anybody getting on Suboxone and actually changing their life. So I was really, really hesitant, and I was really, really mad. But I knew that I needed help because of my past behaviors and all the treatment centers I had been to. I had been to 5 rehabs before that, 1 prison stint. I knew that my past showed me that I was a chronic relapser. And so I knew that I needed extra help. So I prayed and I said, you know what? I'm going to give it a try. And if it doesn't work out, I'll just get off and everything will be fine. If I have to go back into detox, it's fine. So I got put on the medication and I got a sponsor and I started going to meetings right away. And I started working the 12 steps right away with my sponsor. At the beginning of my recovery, the first year was rocky. It was difficult. I was getting stabilized on my dose. I was learning how to not overtake my medication. I was learning that taking more Suboxone would not do anything. I was learning that that behavior was an addictive behavior and it was something that I had to change. And I was learning all about myself and all the things that I do as an addict. That first year of working with my sponsor and going through the steps was like self-awareness slapped me in the face like a 2x4. And I started to realize how selfish, self-seeking, self-sabotaging I was. I was starting to realize how afraid I was, how full of insecurity, and how much I did not love myself. And I was learning all this all at one time. It felt like so quickly. The first year of my recovery, it felt like somebody held a mirror up to my face and it showed me everything that I had done to other people. It was like I had a mirror that was reflecting back to me all the horrible things I had done in my life. And I was figuring out and realizing that in order to recover, I was going to have to start addressing those issues. I was going to have to start making amends for the people that I had harmed. I was going to have to start working through the resentments that I had all these years. And at first, I was afraid. I was like, I'm never going to be able to do this. And I actually thought, you know what? I'm never going to stay sober for 3 years. I'm never going to make it. How am I going to do this? The first year of my recovery, I would talk to myself like, how are you going to do this? How are you going to get your son back? What are you going to do? Your son's going to be in foster care for the rest of his life if you don't do this, Nicole. And I had just started like coming out and being honest and telling people that I was involved in recovery with, that I was on Suboxone also. And so at the same time, all these like realizations were slapping me in the face, all this real shit. I was also dealing with all this real judgment and all these people like almost looking down on me because I was being honest and letting them know, hey, I'm on Suboxone. This is my first year in recovery. I'm working the 12 steps with a sponsor. I'm going to meetings and I'm serious about my recovery. And then I would have people tell me, well, you're not in recovery. You can't even say that. And that's when I thought, that first year, it was about 10 months into my first year, I thought, I am going to make it. My last dying breath will be me educating others on medically assisted treatment and helping other people who are just like me feel like they have a place to belong. Because when I first came into the scene, I did not belong anywhere. And people let me know that. People let me know that I claimed clean time and I couldn't share at an NA meeting. People let me know that I couldn't be the secretary of that group. And I thought that was bullshit. And I still do think that's bullshit. And that's why I started sharing my story and letting others know that recovery is not about the outside. A recovery is not about what medication that I'm on to help me in my journey. Recovery is about me changing my behaviors, about me being a good person, about me being loving, tolerant, caring, forgiving, honest, open-minded, willing. That's what recovery is about. And I just remember coming onto the scene and these people who were preaching to me recovery, honesty, open-mindedness, and willingness. And then when I got honest with them, open-minded, and I became willing, and I let them know the journey that I was on and the path that I had chosen, and they judged me. There was people that turned their back on me. There was friends of mine that they didn't want to include me on the things that we were doing in the recovery community on Facebook because people didn't take me seriously. But that first year, I didn't let it discourage me. I didn't get off Suboxone. I stayed on Suboxone and I stayed working the steps. I got busy going to therapy. I got busy in a lot of support groups. Facebook support groups, YouTube support groups, all kinds of online support groups. And I really got busy in a home group here in my town where I could connect with other alcoholics and addicts that were in recovery. And I reconnected with two really good friends of mine, Heather and Christy, who I will never, ever, ever forget. Those girls right there, they opened their arms to me and they didn't judge me. They allowed me to hang out with them and be a part of their group and not make me feel like because I was on Suboxone that I was any different. We would go to meetings together. We would go walking together. We would talk on the phone together. Christy sponsored me for about a year. It was absolutely wonderful. And that's when, after that first year, I started sharing my experience, strength, and hope on Facebook. And I started sharing openly. And I started to not be anonymous. I started to really share openly about being on Suboxone and being in recovery. And that's what I've been doing for the last 2 years straight. Now that it's, Christmas, today is Christmas Day for everybody that's listening on the podcast. Now that it's Christmas time, 2018, I have been really, really thinking about what's my next step going to be in my recovery. What am I going to do next? Because what I feel like happens is I get these challenges and then I overcome them. And then I need a new challenge to overcome. So I have been talking with my YouTube channel and letting them know where my head's at. And so I've been thinking in January, I'm going to go talk to my doctor about my taper. and I'm going to document my taper on my YouTube channel, and I'm going to share openly about what I experience, and I'm not going to hold anything back, just like I always do in my podcast, like, or on my YouTube channel. Like, I'm always just legit, you guys. Like, I just share what I'm going through. Like, I don't put on a show. I don't have like a YouTube face and then a regular home face. Like, this is my life, and this is what means something to me. I've found purpose in helping others. I've found purpose in sharing my experience, strength, and hope. And every day I learn something new from someone else. And it's really important to me to remain teachable, because you guys are the ones who are helping me stay sober. Like, this little community that we have created has been such a lifesaver for me. So when the judgment came, you know, it came the people talking about me. It came the whispers. It came the people who didn't like me because I was speaking out, because I was sharing my experience, because I was being vocal about being on Suboxone and being in recovery. And it brought on a lot of toxic, negative people. And for the longest time, I thought that I had to prove that I was that my sobriety was valid, that my recovery was valid. I felt this like pressure that I had to show everybody how sober I was, how great I was doing. And I later on learned that was just me seeking validation from my peers. And I have learned now that that validation is not what's going to make me feel better. Because I can get validated all day long, and then when I shut off that Facebook, I'm with myself again. I can go around and seek validation and approval from everyone, but in the long run, if I don't validate myself, if I don't approve of myself, then all that's going to go out the window. So I took myself off Facebook. I deleted my account and I left Facebook. Now, for me, that was a huge step, you guys. Facebook had become toxic for me. It had become a place where I was seeking so much approval from others, and I was comparing myself so much to other people and their recovery. And it was becoming overwhelming for me. So I deactivated my Facebook account, and I really got busy in my therapy, reading my big book, talking with others, sharing on my YouTube channel, and just focusing on one platform, like, entirely. That's what I've been doing with my YouTube. The first year of my recovery, though, I sat back and I watched, you know, and then the last 2 years have been just me really trying to figure out my path, you know, and where I want to go and what I want to do in my life now that I'm a recovering addict and alcoholic. And I figured out, like, the only thing I want to do is help other people to feel like they have a place. I don't want you guys to feel like I did and not feel like you have somewhere like you. I want you to feel like you belong, because the feeling of not belonging is the worst feeling. It took me back to that feeling I had in kindergarten. When I started kindergarten and all the kids were making fun of me because I was brown and they were white. And then it made me really think that that's what addiction is. Addiction is that part of me that doesn't feel included. That part of me that just doesn't feel quite right. That part of me that feels like I'm just not in the right place. Like I'm a square peg trying to fit in a round hole. That's what my addiction is for me. I've always been that square peg. And all my life, I tried to squeeze into other people's mold for me. I tried to make other people see how great I was and appreciate me for it, and it was all because I didn't know who I was. And it's like now that I'm finally off all that dope and has stopped shooting up and drinking and killing myself, it's like I know who I am today. I want to help people. I want to inspire people. I want to encourage people. I want to push people to do better than they did the day before. That's why I decided to make a podcast and a YouTube channel. But my YouTube channel came first. And my YouTube channel, all the people that I have there that are listening, they're listening to me right now, you guys. They encourage me to do more things like this podcast. So if you're listening right now, this has been like such an awesome experience for me to be able to come on and share how I feel and record it. It's just like, I can't explain to you the healing process for me of just talking, and letting you guys know, like, this is the way I felt for all my life. I felt not good enough before I started using drugs and alcohol. I felt like I didn't fit in before I started using drugs and alcohol. And I used drugs and alcohol to cope with not feeling good, with not feeling a part of. So my podcast is going to be on Anchor. That is the podcast app that I am uploading on right now, you guys. And I'm literally going to upload so many podcasts. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. But I have to tell you, so now that I've let you guys know here on the podcast what I am doing and how I got on Suboxone and what my experience was like being on Suboxone in a 12-step fellowship, and on the Facebook. Now let me just tell you, it's still like that. People don't understand that medically assisted treatment can be an amazing tool for someone. And there's really no time frame that a person should have to jump off of Suboxone, you guys. And what I hear a lot of people try to tell me is that, well, don't you think you should get off? Well, you're going to taper off that, right? I had fellow recovery friends encouraging me to taper off 6 months into my journey. And I hadn't even gotten a foundation in my recovery. You know what I'm saying? So what I did, and this is how I'm going to explain it to you guys on the podcast. I got on Suboxone. I got really involved with therapy and a therapist, a sponsor in the 12 steps, and changing my behaviors and living my life differently. I changed everything in my life. I got rid of people. I changed places that I go. Everything. I don't have drug people around me. I don't kick it with my old drug friends. I don't have their numbers. I changed my cell phone number, you guys. I deleted. It was crazy. I created a whole new beginning. And that's what I had to do. Because all my life I had tried to hold on to those old people, places, and things. And every time that I would hold on to those people and I would try to take them in with me, right? They would pull me down with them, just like we were talking about the other day, you guys. It's like when you see someone drowning in the lake, if you don't put on a life vest and bring yourself a life preserver when you jump in after that person, they are going to bring you down and drown you with them. They are going to pull you down to push themselves up. And that's just like what it's like in recovery. If you are not strong in your recovery and have a good foundation, when you jump in to help someone else,
they will pull you down. And it's not because they mean to, but it's because they're trying to save themselves. So if we want to save others and help others find recovery, we have to be armed with the facts. We have to be armed with the tools. And that's what I've been doing for these 3 years, is building my fucking recovery, arming myself with the facts about the disease of addiction, learning everything I can about the 12-step program, and really, really practicing living my life without drugs and alcohol, retraining my brain how to cope with life on life's terms. That's what I've been doing this whole time that I've been on Suboxone. And now that I feel like I'm at a strong place in my recovery, that's when I'm going to start the taper in January. January 6th, I will go to see my doctor, and I will update you guys as soon as I know if we're tapering that day, if we're everything. I'm going to upload a podcast about it. I'm going to upload a YouTube video about it. I mean, it's going down. But I want to tell you, I had to take those 3 years, you guys. I had to take those 3 years to build my recovery, to get employed, to pay my fines and fees and get my legal issues figured out, to get me and my husband on a schedule and balanced out together, because we're both in recovery. We're both recovering drug addicts. And so it's so important for me to get all those things settled and in their places. And now that I have a strong foundation in recovery, a strong support system in recovery, my mental health is all good, now I can taper and be successful and not go back to drugs and alcohol. But I had to take the time to build my foundation. Suboxone has been like a cast for my broken leg. And now that I'm going to get the cast taken off, I'm going to still have to go to physical therapy to teach me how to walk again. And that's what Suboxone has done for me. It has been like a cast. And when people assume that because I'm on Suboxone that I'm not in recovery or I'm not working hard on my recovery, it makes me upset, but I also know it's only because they don't understand and they're ignorant.
Come and look at Godzilla City.
Okay.
Come and look at it.
I'll be there in a second.
Come on, come on.
Nate,
cool,
y'all, let me introduce you to my son Nate on the podcast. Say hi, Nate.
Hi.
Okay.
This come with me.
Okay, I'll be there in a second. And that is what I had to do to build my foundation. So I'm going to end this podcast here. I hope you guys will come back to Real Talk Recovery here on Anchor. I had the best time talking to you guys today. It's Christmas 2018. This is Nicole DeMeo. I love you guys. I cannot wait to upload another podcast. And I really hope that anybody out there listening, if you're struggling with the disease of addiction and you need help, please reach out. You could message me on any of my social medias, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. My YouTube channel is also Real Talk Recovery, real_talk_recovery. My name on Instagram is Nicole Ploudre, Ploudre. And you can message me anytime there. You can also email me at demeon@yahoo.com. That's DeMeo, D as in dog, E as in Edward, M as in Mary, E as in Edward, O, N as in Nicole, @yahoo.com. Anytime, day or night, and I will get you hooked up with some resources, anything that you need. But y'all be looking out for me, because I'm going to throw up another podcast in a couple days, and I cannot wait for you guys to hear what's next. All right, guys, I'll talk to you later. Bye. Okay. Woohoo! That's awesome! What is this? What's this segment called? We'll call it. did it, guys. Okay. Let's go see what this boy's talking about. Okay. I hope that... Do you all think that sounded good? Let's go see what Nate wants. He wants to show me something. Look at my pajamas, you guys. I'm coming. What?
Santa got his cookies. Now Daddy wants his nookies.
What's this?
Look at it. It's a city.
Oh, wow.
He's Godzilla.
Oh, wow.
Holy
Oh.
crikeys.
So that's what I'll do from now on. What I'll start
together, so you get to do that.
That's what I'll start doing from now on. Is I'll start letting you guys know when I do the podcast. That was cool. That's cool, Nate.
Yeah, he likes these.
Did he hook up his Nintendo?
I mean, we've only been home for...
Okay, well, listen. Are you just going to throw them around, or are you going to put them back up?
Yeah, I said what we need to do is...
Make a brick wall somewhere.
Make one of these.
Merry Christmas, you guys.
Open one of these up. Were these all stuck together, or can we get one out?
Oh, you can get one out. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Well, that's what we're going to have to do, but...
Did anybody talk to Classy? Because I tried to call her, but she didn't answer. She said she needed help, and I tried to call her 3 times. She didn't answer. I literally just got home, and she had only texted me 15 minutes ago. Or it was, 15 minutes ago when I first got on the live. Like, I didn't even know she had texted. I'm talking to the YouTube channel. Look at how professional I look in my pajamas.
I got a pajama model.
A pajama model. We'll put up that train station another day.
Yeah, I told him I was going to put
It's
it
too
up
much.
on the day that
Hey, Scottish.
I'm off work.
It's hot up here. It is 60 degrees outside, y'all. Oh. Is Bama here? What's going on, you guys? Why is everybody being so quiet? Pajama chic. That's right. Okay. Anyway, let's hear that. Let's see how the. I know I texted her, Jamie, and I tried to call her. She didn't answer. Uh-oh. I see it. Here it is. Let's hear it.
What's up, you guys? It's your girl, Nicole. Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. Or should I say, welcome, because today is the first episode, the first official episode of Real Talk Recovery. I'm so excited to have all you guys here. I am live streaming on YouTube, and I am recording a podcast all at the same time, you guys. The joys of technology, it is amazing. Your girl is doing this thing. So, if you don't know, now you know. I am on Anchor, and it's amazing, you guys. They actually have a way for you to become sponsored. Bottle feeding after about a month and a half. That I needed help because of my past behaviors and all the treatment centers I have been to. I have been to about what I experienced, and I'm not going to hold anything back, just like I always do in my podcast.
Cool. All right, guys, we did it. Hell yeah. Let's see. That's cool. That was easy. I'll send it to everybody on Hangouts, okay? All right. Heck yeah, guys. Okay. Cool. Let's close everything out. Okay. I'm excited. Now that's awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, girl. I will. Okay. What? Clap. This girl is out of her mind. I don't understand what's going on. Today was a great day. Girl, listen to me. On that Anchor app, it was so easy. All you have to do is press record. Y'all heard me, and talk. Look at this. Looks like a dick. Look at this dick. Look at this. Hey, girl. Hold on. I love you guys. Bye. I'm hanging up my YouTube thing.